And the Oscar goes to Argo. Congratulations.
And the Oscar goes to Green Book.
Green Book has 5 Academy Award nominations this year.
And the Oscar goes to Crash.
I'm excited to announce Best Picture.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
Oscar goes to...
Okay, Coda.
And the Oscar goes to... The Shape of Water.
Welcome once again. The 2025 Oscar nominations were announced recently, and because I do, or rather did, like movies a lot, I was curious to see what's been nominated. And here's the list.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Now ask yourself, of these 10 movies, how many did you instantly recognize? How many could you give a brief synopsis about? How many did you even know was a movie? And finally, how many did you actually see because you knew about it and wanted to watch it? If you said more than 2, I'm impressed. Of the list, I have only seen one movie. Which one do you think it is? If you said Wicked, kiss my ass! It's only obvious. It's Dune Part 2. It's the only movie on the list, outside of maybe Wicked, that was not only worthy of watching in the cinema, but also was aimed for male viewers. Or more specifically, straight male viewers. Now, let's briefly go through the list. Anora. What the fuck is Anora? I heard all of Jack and shit about it. I have no idea what it's about. The Brutalist. I at least have seen some ads for it. I know it stars the Oscar bait golden child Adrian Brody. The only interest I have is my general interest in architecture. Outside of that, I couldn't care less. I might eventually watch this movie when it comes out on Netflix or something. Other than that, I have no interest in paying money to see it. A complete unknown. Yes, I know what this movie is about, and I do like Bob Dylan, but I wouldn't call myself a fan. That doesn't interest me enough to watch it, and I'm not a Timothée Chalamet fangirl like my daughter. Now, me being a Muad'Dib fan, that's a different story. Speaking about Muad'Dib, Dune Part 2. What a joke that this is the only movie I saw that made the list. Even when the best movie category was only 5 films, I still would have been able to say I watched 2 or more from the list. So what happened? Either I have reduced my volume of movie watching, or the best picture selections are worse. We'll expand on this later. Conclave. Now I have heard about it since, not because of ads or general interest, but because it's controversial. But as Christopher Walken would say,
I don't care.
and me being a non-Catholic, I couldn't care less about papal politics. Maybe state that plenary exemptions were wrong, and then maybe I'd be interested.
This is bullshit.
Amelia Perez.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
I never heard of it. Didn't know what it was about until it got nominated. When I heard what it was about, I was like,
Stupid!
and then the nomination made perfect sense. I'll expand later, but for now, let's just get through the list.
This is shit, but hey.
I'm Still Here.
What the hell is that?
Just like Anora, I have no idea what this is about. Was there any publicity? I saw all the fuck all in advertising for this movie. Nickel Boys. Never heard of it. Now, if the studio doesn't spend any money on advertising the movie, then what do you think they think of the potentials of this movie's return on investment? As an Oscar bait movie, It's the nomination that gives them free advertising. Not only am I not interested, even if the movie was on Netflix, I still wouldn't be interested.
Pathetic.
The substance. Now, I didn't see anything about this movie, but I did hear about it through word of mouth, and it didn't come out in the last weeks of December. So this movie gets credit for trying to be a normal, profitable movie. I do have some curiosity in seeing this movie, and I'll probably watch it eventually. And last but not least, Wicked. Yes, I know what this movie is. Advertised heavily, decent reviews as well. My daughter's a big Ariana Grande fan, but even that was not enough to watch the movie. I didn't read the book, and I didn't see the musical. The movie is simply not aimed at my demographic. With that said, I have no problem with this movie being nominated as Best Picture. Now let's discuss for a bit. After the list is announced, the first thing you think of, are there any snubs? How can you leave out Nosferatu? It's a movie that had all the hallmarks of an Oscar bait movie. Art house film, excellent cast of actors, a December release date, and if it was on the list, I could have said I watched 2 movies from the list. Nosferatu was also advertised decently, and one of the most recent ads I saw was on a bus that had a critic's review stating, Best Picture of the Year. Also on the ad, it had the words, For Your Consideration, meaning it was looking for an Oscar nod. Having seen it, I would say, including many other critics and movie people, that it is worthy of a Best Picture nomination. So what happened? Was it that Dune Part 2 and Wicked and the other 8 Oscar bait movies were just better movies in general and deserved a nomination over Nosferatu?
Get the fuck out of here.
So again, what happened? Being that I haven't seen 9 of the Best Picture nominations, it is my opinion that Nosferatu deserves to bump one of the other nominations out. So we go back to why. Is it just my and others like me have the subjective opinion that it should be on the list? And that is the sole reason? No, there is a reason why, and the reason is an objective one. About 10 years ago, some jealous hater made the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite to go viral. In response to that jealous tweet, the Academy kowtowed to the woke mob, and in 2020 issued a new set of standards in order for a movie to qualify as a Best Picture nominee. These standards are directly due to a woke DEI agenda. Announced in 2020, it went into effect as of 2024. The Academy breaks these down into 4 standards. In order to be eligible to be nominated, the movie must meet 2 out of the 4 standards. Now let's look at the standards. To begin, let's use Emilia Perez as the first test subject. Standard A, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. Substandard A1, at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors is from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Looking at the list, there's a couple things that stand out. The first one is Latinx. That's right, you can't just be Latino or Latina. You gotta be Latinx, cabron.
Funny.
Now, if I was Latin, I'd find that insulting, but that's just me. I also like the last entry, other. People might not identify as anything above. Here's a catch-all for anybody else that feels underrepresented. We don't know who you are, but if you feel like you belong on the list, then you fall in the other category. Now, instead of listing all the underrepresented groups and putting in an other category, they could have simply said non-white. Done! We removed all of the wordiness and replaced it with something that was much more succinct and direct to the point. True, it sounds more racist this way. That's because it is.
We were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. No. It was mostly white people, and I thought, nah, not on my watch. So, maybe next year. Let's see what happens.
Anyway, applying the standard to Emilia Perez, Latinx and alphabet people. Bam! Standards cleared without even breaking a sweat. We don't even have to look at any more substandards. Next, Standard B, There are 3 substandards, and the movie only has to clear one of them to be eligible. Substandard B1, creative leadership and department heads. At least 2 of the following creative leadership positions and department heads, casting director, cinematographer, composer, costume designer, director, editor, hairstylist, makeup artist, producer, production designer, set decorator, sound, VFX supervisor, writers are women, alphabet people, or non-white. Bam! Easy peasy. Nobody has this covered without a second look. Done and done. That's 2 standards fulfilled. The movie qualifies as a Best Picture nominee. There's no point in looking at any other standards. See? That's not too hard. The Academy standards are wide and lenient, right?
Wrong!
Now, let's test Nosferatu. Standard A, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. Substandard A1, at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors is non-white. Being that 19th century Germany didn't have very many people of color, and the story of Dracula has no people of color in it, it makes the movie hard to be accurate while portraying on-screen representation. Of course, if Robert Eggers tweaked the story and made Orlok Blacklock, then it would have cleared this standard. Unfortunately, he decided to retell the story faithfully.
Shit.
So the movie fails the first substandard. No worries, there's still 2 more substandards the movies can fulfill to qualify this standard. Substandard A2, general ensemble cast. At least 30% of all actors in secondary and more minor roles are from at least 2 of the following underrepresented groups. So the movie has to be made up of at least 2 of these criteria in order to be eligible. Being that this is a 19th century period piece in Germany, you can cross off racial groups and the alphabet people. I guess they could have padded the cast with women, just had people walking around with funnels by their ears so they appear to be hard of hearing. Now, would that take you out of the immersion of the film? Probably. So the movie fails this hurdle. Substandard A3, the main storyline, theme, or narrative of the film is centered on an underrepresented group.
Shit.
So the movie failed to clear Standard A. However, there are still 3 more standards to go. Standard B. There are 3 substandards, and the movie only has to clear one of them to clear the standard. Substandard B1, creative leadership and department heads. Once again, 2 of the people must fall within the following underrepresented groups. This one looks easy, but then they kind of trick you. As long as these 2 positions are a woman, they can clear the criteria, right? No, because they add an additional criteria on top of this one and says at least one of them must be non-white. Looking at imdb.com, it looks like the movie clears this hurdle. But let's go through the other substandards just for the hell of it. Substandard B2, at least 6 other crew/team and technical positions, excluding production assistants, are non-white. These positions include, but are not limited to, first AD, gaffer, script supervisor, etc. So being that this substandard deals with crew behind the camera, do I care what race anybody is?
No.
So 6 non-whites must be taking up these positions. That isn't too hard, as they can just hire people to check these boxes. They won't do anything major in regards to the movie, but they will satisfy this bullshit quota.
What else is new?
Substandard B3. At least 30% of the film crew are women, alphabet people, disabled, or non-white. Again, easy to qualify. The music department is going to be mostly Asian. The set decorations will be heavily Latinx. Costume department will be mostly women and alphabet people. So we're going to assume that Nosferatu clears standard B.
Hooray!
2 more standards left, and the movie only has to clear one of them to qualify. Should be easy, right?
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Standard C. To achieve standard C, the film must meet both criteria below: paid apprenticeship and internship opportunities, training opportunities, and skill development. Reading this standard, it's pretty vague in how much and how many opportunities a studio has to perform in order to qualify. Also, there's nothing stating in how long these programs have to operate in order to qualify. In general, I don't see small studios doling out these kinds of opportunities. So I assume the movie failed this standard, and most probably the majority of movies will fail this standard. Just to give a sports analogy, this is like a team trading away a player who still has 5 years left on his contract, and in order to trade him, you have to agree to retain 50% of his salary.
No, man, I ain't paying you 7. Yankees are paying half your salary. That's what the New York Yankees think of you. They're paying you $3.5 million to play against them.
Obviously, the best deal was to get rid of the contract altogether, but this is the compromise. For the studio, they would do it simply to be eligible for a Best Picture nomination. And remember, both of these substandards must be met in order to qualify.
Fucking hell.
Okay, the last standard, Standard D, representation in marketing, publicity, and distribution. The studio and/or film company has multiple in-house senior executives that are women, alphabet people, disabled, or non-white on their marketing, publicity, and/or distribution team. Senior execs. I would assume before a movie is even greenlit by a studio, they already hired senior execs in these positions. Thus, if the senior execs are all white, the studio would have to fire them and rehire a person that qualifies. Being that you can't fire because of your race, I don't think studios want to start a bunch of wrongful termination lawsuits against them. Thus, the studio either already qualifies for the standard before the movie was greenlit, or it didn't. And the term multiple is vague. Does that mean more than one, or what? So Nosferatu didn't clear this standard. Thus, this is the reason why Nosferatu isn't nominated for Best Picture.
God damn it!
You know it. I know it. It's a movie, at the very least, worthy of a nomination. But it doesn't get one because the subject matter and cast is too white European, and the studio execs are apparently too white. Therefore, Nosferatu isn't nominated specifically because it doesn't have woke themes, a woke cast, and DEI studio execs.
Bunch of fucking nonsense.
So clearly, the Academy is anti-meritocracy, and Hollywood wonders why box office revenues continue to drop? Make movies that everybody wants to watch. How fucking hard is that to figure out?
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
Now, is it wrong to have standards in order for a movie to be eligible for Best Picture? In my opinion, no. So here are my standards. Standard 1. The movie has to gross at least $20 million in box office receipts. That's it. This ensures that normal moviegoers actually went to see the movie. Studios that want to make their low-budget art house movies that showcase excellent acting with $0 in the advertising budget can still make those movies, and the actors will still be eligible for Best Acting categories. But the movie will not qualify for Best Picture. That's all. That's fair. Shitty movies that nobody wants to see shouldn't qualify, right?
Yeah.
Some studios want to make a pretentious movie about some woke theme. Go ahead. I don't care. If it makes no money in the theaters, it's not eligible for Best Picture, no matter how hard the movie panders to the woke mob. Before I close this video, I'm going to predict the winners of the big categories. I'm curious to see how right I'll be. We'll start with Best Cinematography. Who should win is Greg Fraser of Dune Part 2. But since he already won for Dune Part 1, he won't win. But they will throw a bone for snubbing Nosferatu and give it to Yaron Blaschke. It's still a worthy choice, but it's not the right one. Best Animated Feature. Of the movies listed, I only saw Inside Out 2, and it was a decent movie. And Disney does lobby hard for its nominations. So I'll go with Inside Out 2. However, if it doesn't win, I won't be surprised. To the movie's credit, it could have went hard left and gone full woke, but it didn't. So maybe Disney could learn a lesson from one of its own movies.
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit!
Best Supporting Actor. This category is normally awarded for people for career Oscars, or some absolutely nobody that will fade into oblivion within the year. Because of that, I'm going to give it to Ed Norton. He was nominated before, So this is his makeup Oscar.
Now quit wasting our time. Get the fuck out of here.
Best Supporting Actress. My pick is Isabella Rossellini. It's a perfect pick for a career Oscar, and with David Lynch's recent passing,
He's dead.
may he rest in peace, it seems fitting. If she does win, it would have been nice for David Lynch to see.
What the hell?
Best Actor. Adrian Brody won't win because he already won one. In my opinion, it's between Voldemort and Muad'Dib. Now, I haven't seen either of these movies, but the deciding factor is that Voldemort has been a previous loser, which is the reason why Voldemort will win.
Well, what are we going to do? We can't stand here all night.
Why don't you both put your guns down and go home?
Don't be stupid. This is the shootout.
Best Actress. I didn't see a single one of these movies, so I'm going to give it to Demi Moore for the career Oscar. However, if the dude dressed as a chick wins, I won't be surprised, and I'm kind of rooting for him to win. Because if he does, I think that'll be the last straw for some of the other women actors, and they'll finally go full Popeye and say,
That's all I can stand. I can't stand no more.
Best Director. What a joke Robert Eggers and Denis Villeneuve are not nominated. Them not being nominated is an egregious snub. It'll come down to Jacques Audiard or Coralie Fargeat. The woman versus the woke. I'm going to say the woman, Coralie Fargeat. And if she wins, she'll get the standing ovation for another supposed glass ceiling breaking moment.
Don't fuck with me, fellas!
And finally, Best Picture. Given my standards, there are only two movies worthy, and that's Dune Part 2 and Wicked, with the winner being Dune Part 2 by 1 trillion miles. Yes, I haven't seen any of the other movies, but given the scope, none compares to Dune Part 2. It isn't a perfect movie by any means, and I'll have a review of Part 1 and 2 soon, but it is by far the only choice that makes any sense. With that said, it doesn't guarantee a win. Do you remember what won last year? Oppenheimer. And what did everybody say last year? They said Christopher Nolan breathed a sigh of relief when Dune Part 2 was pushed back to 2024. So it would seem that it's guaranteed to win this year. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Dune Part 2 will win. They gave The Brutalist and Emilia Perez the Golden Globe, but they'll throw Common Sense a bone and give it to the movie that actually deserves it.
Shut up!
So those are my picks locked in. And that'll do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.
Come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay? So...